I can't remember what year this song came out, but man, do I remember watching that music video over and over and over again.
1999.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Eiffel 65. No doubt one-hit wonder. I'm sure they were.
Oh, no question.
I'm Blue. It's hour 2 of the game. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and AJ Shaw. We got a K-State prediction coming up here in just a few moments. Plus, here a little later on, K-State goalkeeper Murphy Sheaff. I spoke with her yesterday. Going to hear that back of just talking about her Olympic experience representing Team New Zealand in women's soccer on the national team. That's not the first time she's been on the national team. She was with the team when they hosted the World Cup not too long ago. So we're going to hear about her Olympic trip here in a few moments. Wanted to mention K-State soccer picked to finish dead last in the Big 12 preseason poll. Now 16 teams in the conference. The top 12 will make the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. It's back in KC. As a matter of fact, where the KC Current play. It's going to be at
new
their
stadium.
Yeah. So that's a heck of a play there. Brett Yormark getting that stadium for the tournament. That's pretty awesome. Okay. How far are we out? 23 days. 23 days until K-State football. August 31st. UT Martin, I hear there's like less than 400 tickets available for this thing. It's going to sell out. There's no doubt about that.
Kind of a given.
Go get those tickets. Get your seat reserved for the Bill and the season opener. It's going to be a fun year. But as we lead into the season, 20 shows left as of this week, Monday, and we're doing 20 predictions in 20 days. This, I feel, is another tough one. So let's discuss. The question today, the prediction today is who will lead K-State in receiving yards. We have not had a 1,000-yard receiver since Tyler Lockett and Curry Sexton in 2014.
Woof.
The leader last year was not a wide receiver, it was a tight end. Ben Sinnott was 676 yards.
Old Benjamin.
He also led the team with 6 touchdowns. Phillip Brooks was the leading wide receiver in receiving yards with 589, and he had 5 receiving touchdowns. That was also second on the team. And then that's followed by Jace Brown, DJ Giddens, Jaden Jackson, Keegan Johnson, who are all back this year. I think AJ starts us today.
I go first, Troy second, you third.
All right. I'm glad you're keeping track of that.
Yep. So tomorrow,
Troy, me,
first.
Troy, me, you.
Yep. I'm going to go with Keegan Johnson. I really think he, and I've said this the other day on the show, I think he really is bought into the system now. And I think he's healthy. I think he's motivated. I think he's really ready to kind of show that this is going to be his year to really prove that he's a top receiver in college football. And I think, when he's on, he's deadly as all heck. So I'm going to have to go with Keegan Johnson as the leading receiver. If I were to make a prediction, I'll go 713 yards receiving.
That would be a pretty decent year. How many touchdowns?
I'll go with 7.
That's a solid 7. That's a solid 7 touchdowns. Solid 7.
Yeah.
Troy, who are you feeling this season's going to lead K-State? Who is going to be the best connection between Avery Johnson and blank?
I'm probably naive in this hope.
Oh, can I guess?
Or this thought process.
If this is a hope, okay. Let me think.
Go ahead,
because I want to take a guess. Are you thinking Garrett Oakley?
No, actually, I'm thinking Jace Brown.
Okay.
Because of the ability to stretch the field and just putting the numbers to it, you start adding those up very quickly. And what we saw out of the connection between he and Avery last season. That would be my pick. But it's probably a naive one on my part.
Solid chemistry, the roommates. Heck, if there was one person on this team that he would let drive the Corvette, well, there's 2. Because now that Dylan Edwards is on the team, those are childhood buds.
Right.
But the other would be Jace Brown.
Who do you think is the one guy he's like, no chance in heck you're coming near my car?
don't know the team that well. I'd love to answer just to be, funny or something, but
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a.
Yeah, the minute I asked that question, I realized, it's
I don't know.
kinda-
I don't know if these kids are good drivers or who's the best driver, who's the worst driver. Maybe that's something maybe that's a Meet the Wildcats question. Who's the worst driver
Yeah.
on the team? Who's the best?
Yeah.
Would you know? Who do you not trust behind a steering
In
wheel?
this day and age of the University of Georgia,
Well, for sure, if he was on Georgia, nobody's going near that car.
AJ, I appreciate the idea. I'm gonna test that out on a player next time next week. It'll be I think Monday and Tuesday we'll have some media availability.
Man.
It'll be defensive players. So
Gotcha. You'll have to, maybe if you see Avery, you'll have to ask him.
I already recorded with Avery,
All right.
so it's too late on that.
If you do see him, though, you
Whoops.
got to be like, hey, who's not going near that Corvette on the team?
But I did ask Avery what his favorite candy is.
oh, okay,
You got to wait for Power Cat Game Day to hear the answers to that. Okay, so you say Jace Brown.
yes.
Well, we go ahead.
And I was going to put it at probably. I'm going to go with 700 yards.
See, I wasn't expecting anybody to give me any predictions on actual yardage and touchdowns. As I said yesterday, Garrett Oakley was the only player we're going to make exact predictions on, but I appreciate the extra predictions there. Well, for the first time this week, we do have somebody that shares predictions, has the same answer, because I'm also going with Jace Brown. Jace Brown's my pick. Of course, it's a lot that bases off of last year. True freshman, 437 yards in the season on 27 catches. Anybody got a calculator? Want to do the math real quick? Don't worry, I already did it.
Don't do me like that.
That's 16.2 yards a catch. That's salt. That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
As a true freshman, he could beat corners down a sideline. He was so good at getting in space. He had 3 touchdowns. We got to keep this in mind as well. He did not play every game last year. He played 10 of the 13.
Really didn't become a staple in that offense until the TCU game when they threw him in there because of some injuries.
I mean, yeah, he and Avery were just. I mean, give credit to Avery as well. I mean, he put some passes on the money. There was a great throw to Jace. People forget about it in the Texas Tech game. Mm-hmm. That was just, it was chef's kiss. So well delivered. Jace Brown, in my opinion, is K-State's next great wide receiver. He's got all the talent. Not the biggest guy. He's 6 foot. So
Very similar build to Tyler Lockett.
he's not the tallest guy, but he's quick. He ran track in high school. He's got the speed. His dad in Major League Baseball knew how to steal bases.
Who was his dad?
Don Brown.
I've never heard
I
of
don't
him.
know if he played much in the big leagues, but he had a long career in the minors, and he was pretty good at stealing bases. I did some research on that earlier today. But Jace Brown's number, as a true freshman, those are really good numbers as a true freshman. And when it comes to K-State's record book, that was the 3rd best freshman season for a wide receiver ever. Mm-hmm. You got to take that in consideration, and he's only going to get better. We know he's going to be in the starting lineup. There's still plenty of space for another young guy to take off with his career and make some plays and get playing time. But Jace Brown is going to be absolutely game in and game out your top guy to go to.
Don Brown, by the way, never played in the majors, but he stole 158 bases in 6 minor league seasons.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, very good. Only got caught 44 times.
I would imagine that quickness. I don't know what Jace Brown's mom did back in the day, if she was an athlete or not. But the dad was, and I got a feeling he got that speed from his dad. Dad's side of the family. Mm-hmm. Jace Brown is just such a talented kid. And him showing off as a true freshman, that just speaks volumes. Him doing it in his first opportunity to play solid, meaningful snaps, and him just making plays right away, That says it all about how he was able to make plays so early. So Jace Brown is my guy, and so is Troy's. Jace Brown has got to be the guy. I think he's the one that takes off and becomes the next great wide receiver at K-State. But you also got to consider, Keegan Johnson, and I really wanted to say Dante Cephas because he has been a 1,000-yard receiver in his career. I think Dante falls in second for me. Jace Brown's already had a year under his belt in the program. This is the first for Dante Cephas. His wide receiver coach is here when he was at Akron. That's great news. I love the relationship there. But the gut feeling is Jace Brown. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of evidence that it could certainly be him this upcoming season.
I definitely considered Jace Brown. I definitely considered him, and honestly, when I walked in the studio today, I said, I'm probably going to pick him. But after listening to that discussion with Keegan and some of the things I've heard, I have a feeling he's going to have a big year. And that's not a shot at Jace Brown. I think Jace is going to be excellent this year, too.
Well, I think you could have 5 or 6, like seriously, 5 or 6 guys on this year's roster because there's so many mouths to feed.
For sure.
In this rotation, not just at wide receiver, but at running back. I don't think DJ or Dylan will be the leading receiver.
No.
But they'll get a nice chunk of yards. I'm considering them both in this. You got 5 to 6 guys I think for sure will finish somewhere between 200 and 500 yards.
I would say
receiving.
On paper this is the deepest receiver class K-State has had in its history.
I agree. I don't know about history.
Let's say, how about in the last 30 years?
No, I don't think so. Chris Kleiman era.
Yeah. For
sure.
It's a deep receiver class, for sure. Receiver room, I'm sorry.
Just going back 11, 12 years ago, that was incredibly deep.
Yeah.
Because you had,
Lockett.
Well, you had Lockett, you had Tremaine Thompson, you had Chris Harper,
Curry Sexton.
And I'm forgetting some names, I'm sure, but they were all on one team. A couple of years together. 2012, Curry just started to get going.
Yeah.
But Tyler and Chris Harper, Tremaine Thompson, they were already
Harper was
pretty good.
Senior in 2012, I believe, correct?
Yes.
And then Lockett was a sophomore and Curry was a sophomore.
Yeah, and I think Tremaine Thompson was a junior. I think he graduated in 2013. If I remember correctly.
Colin Klein had such a good year that year.
That was a really solid wide receiver core.
For sure.
Hey, can't forget Travis Tannehill at tight end. That was an all Big 12 tight end, Travis Tannehill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's our predictions for today. That is who will lead K-State in receiving yards. I'm going along with Troy with Jace Brown, and AJ goes Keegan Johnson. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we hear from an Olympian who plays soccer at K-State. Murphy Sheaff, the goalkeeper for the Cats, will tell us about her Olympic experience when we come back.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the game.
You, my friend, are in the game on News Radio KMAN.
Of the game.
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday, and you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with Multiview, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action. Make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
AJ, you really had me thinking during the break because you brought up the question: is this the deepest K-State roster there's ever been when it comes to wide receivers? And I was pretty quick to say no. Back in the day, though, you just didn't rotate
Right.
guys in like you do today. So obviously the era is a little bit different. I mean, when I think of, I was just thinking based on talent, maybe not necessarily the rotation and how the yardage will be spread out throughout the season. Yeah, you may have an argument for this team, certainly since 2012. Or really, actually 2014, because you had two 1,000-yard receivers. But that 2012 season, Curry Sexton wasn't quite taken off yet. That started in 2013, and then he had the big season in 2014. But back in that 2012 year, you had, I think I've already mentioned him, Chris Harper was just a little shy of 900 yards, Jermaine Thompson, Tyler Lockett, and then everybody else had no more than, and then you had Travis Tannehill. I got to make sure to throw him in there. He was a little on 300 yards, but nobody else had more than, 100 yards. I mean, John Hubert wasn't a running back out of the backfield that was going to go catch a whole bunch of balls.
Right.
Yeah. He wasn't like what Dylan Edwards could be this year for K-State.
And I started kind of going through my mind like, well, what did Jordy Nelson have back in like 07? Like,
he probably had a ton.
Who was second fill to Jordy Nelson, who had 1,600 receiving yards back in 2007? I forget about Deion Murphy. How could I forget about Deion Murphy, who had over 600 yards receiving? 98, I mean, you had two great wide receivers in Darnell McDonald and Aaron Lockett back in 98, but again, those guys were getting a ton of attention, and then, I mean, Justin Swift was the other, but it was nowhere close to Aaron and Darnell McDonald. And I was also thinking, like, what about around, like, the Copper Bowl? Because that was also a roster you had pretty good talent at wide receiver because of Andre Coleman and Kevin Lockett. But don't forget about Mitch Running, who was just shy of 500 yards. Seib.
Brad Seib, yeah.
Smith, J.J. Smith was pretty solid. I don't know if I can't remember how old he was in the 93 season, if he had more time after that or not. Everything's so blurry, but I mean, with potential depth, maybe there is an argument for this team, but I think that's definitely more of a conversation. Let's get this season rolling a little bit. Maybe it's not as, when it comes to amount of playing time, maybe it's not as deep as what it feels like it could be, we could really blow this thing out of proportion, and it turns out, because I can definitely be that way. Heck, I thought Trey Spivey was going to be, a 2-touchdown, at the end of the season, 2 or 3 touchdowns, and he just had the one catch on the year. But it just has that feeling. I mean, when I say deep and talented, you start digging deeper and even into the 3 deep potentially, maybe not that far, but the full 2 deep, and your 3 wide receivers per. And you count in the running backs. I will say, I mean, I think with a running back that can go catch the football, this has been the deepest it's probably ever been.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely fair.
Well, also, you did not have back then, when you were speaking of John Hubert, you just did not see running backs going out of the backfield and catching passes as much in the K-State offense.
Well, in 2020, you had a glimpse of K-State being super deep with running backs that could go catch a football.
Yeah.
After the Oklahoma game, I can't remember if Keon Mosey did a whole lot. Because he had that one big catch. I mean, it was huge. He almost took it to the house on like a 70-yarder. Then here comes Deuce Vaughn onto the scene, and he breaks off for 60 yards and nearly scores.
Well, you mentioned it yesterday. I mean, K-State started Deuce Vaughn off in the slot that year. I mean, that's kind of where we got our first glimpse of him. So it'll be interesting to see how they use Dylan Edwards in a similar role this year, too.
I'll never forget that Oklahoma game where he just, in the slot, just slips right through the tackle. Like, is this guy that is, 5'5", 180 pounds soaking wet, just going to slip all those tackles? He was always great when a linebacker was on him,
right?
For sure.
That was an automatic mismatch for Deuce.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
When did he become officially #myboy?
Like 2 weeks before that 2020 season started.
Oh, it wasn't after the OU game?
No.
All right.
He had not played it. He not played it down.
So a lot like Asa Newsom, you just were like, he's going to be #myboy, and he turned out to be #myboy.
They both. Well, I to be honest with you, I was more confident in Deuce than I was Asa.
Yeah.
But I also like the short running backs. that run fast
Yeah.
and show it off on film and are also overlooked.
Is there any, I might have asked this before, but before Deuce, were there any hashtag my boy? My boys.
No, he was the first one ever.
He was the first. Because John Kurtz had hashtag my guy.
Well, John was pressing me, and I remember the show well. He was pressing me to say that Deuce Vaughn is the next Darren Sproles. And so then I finally said it. He's like, "Oh my God, well that's a lot more of a burden than just putting hashtag my guy." And I was like, "No, first of all, hashtag my boy. Deuce Vaughn is hashtag my boy." I just made it up on the spot, and it became a thing.
All right, then.
There's your story. Good times, man. I miss Deuce, but luckily he's with the future Super Bowl champions. And we're back. All right, so yesterday was a lot of fun. I love going back to Boozer Family Park. It's an important place to me because I called 5 seasons of K-State soccer. Now, the roster is obviously much different than my last season. The team did not make the Big 12 tournament last year, and they've now made it 2 of the last 4 years, but this is a big season for K-State soccer. This is time for something. This is time for them to prove something. Mm-hmm. It's time to go, and it's time to go now. You got a new Big 12, 16 teams. The top 12 get into the tournament in Kansas City. Now's the era where K-State needs to start making it consistently. Where it all starts is your goalkeeper. The leader, right? Mm-hmm. One of your leaders, right? Pretty important position. Murphy Sheaff, another season with the Wildcats, but before the season gets started, she's already back, obviously, because I spoke with her yesterday, but she's an Olympian. She was with the New Zealand national soccer team as a reserve, and I spoke with her yesterday just about her experience.
So how was Paris?
Hot. It was amazing. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was definitely lived up to expectations.
What was the whole process on getting on the team and getting that opportunity?
I mean, I've been with the New Zealand national team since the under-17 cycles, so I've been with them under-17s, under-20s, and now as of January last year, I had my first tour with the Ferns, the women's team, and it's kind of just been coming in every now and then, kind of fighting for that spare spot that they had and hadn't secured down. And yeah, went on a tour in Spain in June, and I think that kind of locked things in for me for the Olympics.
So how does the national team tell you, hey, you're going to Paris, you're going to be an Olympian? How does that go down?
Email, basically, yeah. They type up an email. I'm pretty sure everyone gets the same kind of email, and you can call them afterwards if you'd like. But yeah, they send you an email, so pretty anticlimactic.
So was this an expectation, or since you had already worked with the younger national teams?
I think for me, this only really became something that I thought I could do after that Spain tour, because I hadn't been on a tour, I hadn't seen the team in about a year. Since then, I'd kind of been out of the loop a little bit, because obviously there was the World Cup last year, and I missed out on that one. So I hadn't really been in with them, so I wasn't really expecting anything, and then I got a call asking to come to Spain, and went there, and I did really well. I performed, and I think that really locked things in for me. Been there a couple of times before. I've been to Germany, Spain, France. She's playing football, soccer, which is, it's a great place to go.
All right, so there's so many things I want to ask you about, just about the Olympics, but were you a part of the opening ceremony? I know some soccer teams weren't a part of it because of practice, or some may have been playing either the day before or the day after. So did you get to be a part of that?
No, we didn't. Unfortunately, we had a game in Saint Etienne the night before, so we couldn't make it into Paris in time, unfortunately. But we all got together and watched it, which was really nice.
Are there a lot of regulations about, because I know if you were to play in the NCAA tournament, there are a whole bunch of regulations and a lot of things, a lot of rules you have to go by to make things fair. Are the Olympics like that? Like you got to practice only for 90 minutes. You got to be here and there. What was that like?
The trainings are really up to your coaches. There's no real restrictions on that. Obviously, they're not the longest trainings because the games are pretty close together. So we would have some short training sessions, 50 minutes or so, just kind of more tactical. But the main regulations are really around branding. Like, you got to be careful. Like, even your phone, like the back of your phone can't have the logo or anything, otherwise big fines.
So what were the actual matches like? Did it feel like it was just another match, or did it feel like a different type of atmosphere and a different level?
Yeah, I mean, we got lucky enough to verse France. So in their home Olympics, we versed them, which, it's always nice to verse the home team because they draw in the home crowds. So I think there was around mid-20s thousands people there, which was pretty loud. So obviously adds a whole new layer where you can't hear the person next to you, so it makes it a bit tricky.
Is that the largest crowd you've ever been around as a player?
No, because obviously we hosted the World Cup last year, so all the games leading up to that, home crowds, we had some pretty big home crowds, which was pretty cool.
Did you stay at the Olympic Village?
We did not. The soccer teams didn't stay in the village, unfortunately, but it looked cool.
Well, tell me about the digs then. Where were you guys staying? Because it sounds like by not staying in the village, you avoided a lot of hassle.
I have heard that. We got to just stay in like nice hotels, so comfy beds, we had air conditioning. I think we lucked out quite a bit with that. But just hotels, and they had like security and everything there for us, 24 hours. It was pretty cool.
Did you see anybody famous while you were there?
Just the teams we verse. Like, obviously we're versing like some of the best players in the world. It's pretty cool.
Just overall, like, favorite memories, like the little things, or even just being being around the Olympic atmosphere and the matches. What do you take away as like the fondest memories of that trip?
I mean, obviously hearing the big crowds and everything, even though they're not cheering for us, it's still a pretty cool atmosphere. And also we had our own welcoming ceremony where we had the New Zealand Olympic Committee come in and we did the haka and everything, and it was a really emotional moment. I think that was pretty cool to be a part of.
So as we record this on Wednesday, how long have you been back?
Oh boy, I got back Saturday, I think it was. Yeah, last Saturday. So not quite a week yet, but...
Was it easy just to jump back into K-State things and get back in a routine?
Yeah, no, everyone's really good about just kind of easing me into it, not rushing things. It's obviously still quite jet lagged, still waking up pretty early, but everyone like is understanding and gets where I'm at, and so yeah, that's nice.
How long total were you in France?
Oh boy, I left here on the 5th of July. And got back on, 1st of August? So was that 26 days?
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound too bad, but...
There's enough time to maybe get used to it.
Yeah.
Maybe not want to leave,
It's good, because that's why we go so early. So by the time we have our actual games, the jet lag's gone and everyone's feeling good and at their best. But long time to be anywhere in like a high-performance environment. It was quite...
So did you play... I'm trying to think of when the Missouri State exhibition was. Were you a part of that?
No, I got back the day of that game, yeah. I think it was, yeah, day of.
Just tell me where you feel like this team is at preparing for this upcoming season. You got another exhibition in 2 days, and obviously looking to improve on last year. Where's just your overall feeling right now about 2024 K-State soccer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I missed a bunch of the summer training, so I've had 3 training sessions since I've been back, so getting that fresh perspective, I think, like I've heard that things are going well, and then coming in and then just seeing it all come to fruition is pretty cool. It's looking really good, and definitely something I'm excited to be a part of.
So is it hotter there, or is it hotter here?
Much hotter there. This hasn't been too bad. The clouds, we've had nice clouds the last couple of days, but it's far too hot in France.
All right, Murphy, I'll let you go. Appreciate the time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Murphy missed out on the heat wave we had there.
Right.
The 100-degree days or high 90s.
But said it was hot in Paris, so...
Well, that's the story, right?
right.
It's been pretty hot there the last couple of weeks.
You should have asked her what her favorite TV theme song is.
She's 21.
She's not
it's
as
going to be a
cultured
show I've never heard of.
She's not as cultured as myself, who's not that much older than she is.
Well, I asked one of the players before Murphy. I was like, "So, favorite TV show? Just kind of get things rolling. Favorite TV show of all time?" And I was like, and she couldn't think. I was like, "What do you think of The Office?" And she's like, It's not my kind of comedy. I'm not really a fan. So that was kind of a cheap shot there early. So
What?
fun questions. But she did do a Steve Carell. Have you watched Despicable Me?
Yes.
Those movies.
Yes, I have.
She did a Steve Carell accent
Oh, she
from
did.
that movie.
She did the Gru voice.
It was pretty good. I've never seen the movies, but I've heard the voice. I've heard.
Well, you should have gotten that on audio so I could hear that and see if it sounded good. Because
Are
I've
you
seen
the
that
official judge of?
Well, because I've seen the movie and you two haven't.
Well, there's 4 of them. Have you seen all 4?
I saw the first and the second one because I was a kid when it came out.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the movies with the minions, right?
Yeah, you didn't see the movie, and nor did Troy, I'm assuming.
I've never seen the movie. I've never seen those movies or the Minion movies.
I mean, has Monica seen it? I don't know.
Which one?
The first one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, have you seen the first one?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so okay, then I
You forget we have nieces and nephews.
That's true. I just remembered that.
Despicable.
Despicable.
All right. What do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
The first one?
Yep, the first one. They came out in. Oh no, that says 2024. That's not the movie I want.
Just type in Despicable Me 1.
That's what I'm doing. Exactly what I'm doing. All right. What do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes? It came out in 2010.
I'm going to go 73%.
Troy?
I'm going to say 85%.
80% on Rotten Tomatoes. The fourth one is like 50%. So are they getting worse as they go?
Of
Those are
course.
sequels. Those are sequels for you. Let's take a timeout and more of the game when we come back. K-Man.
Your home for K-State sports.
Touchdown, Wildcats. Chris Harper and Colin Klein put that football in a shoebox.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
AJ's drumming along to Green Day. Green Day's going to be here in, well, not here, but
Darn it.
KC area, Bonner Springs, Sandstone. Be here in like a couple of weeks, I think.
Oh,
Would love to go.
agreed.
They're on tour with Smashing Pumpkins, but Smashing Pumpkins will not be a part of that show.
Okay.
It's because Sandstone's a little cheap. They didn't want to pay for it.
Imagine that.
This is an Owen Burke bed. I didn't even know he had bed music in here.
I didn't know he liked music. Okay. A couple of things I wanted to mention. I should have thought about 2003 when it came to wide receiver depth. There was some pretty solid depth in 2003 from James Terry to Jermaine Herrera, Darren Sproles could go catch a ball or two. Antoine Polite, Davin Dennis, Brian Casey. I mean, that's some pretty solid depth right there for L. Roberson's 2,545 passing yards in 2003. Of course, don't forget about Jeff Schwinn and his 563 yards. And that damn loss to Marshall. Mm-hmm. All right, anyway, I saw this headline yesterday, and I meant to mention it, but I forgot. Boy, Nebraska has this giant of a lineman that has the worst health track record, the worst luck when it comes to health. His name is Teddy Prochaska.
Prohaska.
I think it's Prochaska.
Oh,
Teddy
okay.
Prochaska.
I know Prohaskas that spell it the same way.
Okay, well, maybe you're right. I don't know. But he blew out his knee on Tuesday. That is his third season-ending knee injury in 4 years. He's 6'10".
Oh, geez.
6'10". Let me pull up his weight here. 6'10", big guy. He looks like a big guy in his picture. 325 pounds.
Woof.
I don't know if I've ever seen a lineman that tall. At the college level, I don't think I ever have. Now, he's hardly played any college football because he played a little bit last year. Last year was his year to actually play. He didn't get hurt, and he started 5 games. But now 3 of the last 4 years, a blown-out knee. Boy, Boy, earlier today in the Olympics, the U.S. men's team, you want to talk about pulling one out of your backside. But it was Steph Curry and Joel Embiid that led the charge back. Were you expecting them to be down to Serbia by 17 points at one point in the second half?
No, especially not a Serbia team that they beat by 31 at one point this year already.
Because this is the third time they've played in
a matter
recently?
of 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, USA is 3-0, but it was quite the charge. And if you watched any of that game in the fourth quarter, with LeBron getting involved and all them playing at the same time with Kevin Durant, it's like they finally let's put this best lineup we could possibly put together out there on the floor, and let's see how this goes.
Hey, what do you know? It turned into an NBA game.
Yeah,
There's always a run.
But now they got to play France.
And Wemby.
That could be
in their home country.
Is this just a whole bunch of number one overall picks that play together? And
it's AAU ball.
To qualify for this team, you had to be top 5 pick of your draft class.
Steph wouldn't qualify for that.
No, I'm talking about France.
Oh yeah, well,
because it seems like all these players are coming from France now.
Alex Sarr, all these guys.
Maybe you have to look it up during the break. How many players from France have been top 10 picks in the last 5 drafts?
Oh, geez.
Where do you think that would land?
Crazy.
What's a good guess? You think?
Good question.
I don't know if I have a good guess, but it's just a thought.
You can go ahead and guess. I'm going to look it up.
I want to say there's 2 or 3 this year.
Yes, they're 2 right back to back.
Okay, so I'm going to guess 7.
7, all right.
So let's take a break. We'll answer that question when we come back. Along with Ask Us Anything, we'll wrap up the show next.
I started the Maine Frisbee Golf Club at Cornell.
The Game.
This is madness.
News Radio KMAN.
Real quick, shout out to the person with the Twitter handle that has a bunch of letters and a bunch of numbers. Shout out to the correction. I think I did say Akron for Dante Cephas. It is Kent State. That is my bad. I think I've done that a couple of times. Good catch.
It's a MAC thing.
So Troy and Mitch said 7. It's actually 6 French players have been drafted in the top 10 in the last 5 drafts.
Ballpark.
You were close. All right, question today is, have you ever had a weird nickname?
No, thank God.
I have.
For
sure.
You can go first.
Well, when I was a little kid, I'm probably 4. I decided to step out in front of a semi.
Oh, geez.
Wait, what?
And I was nearly ran over. And some lady said, hey, you almost got squashed like a pancake. Pancake, when I was little, became my nickname for a little bit.
I mean, what? Were you watching the ads for Maximum Overdrive or what?
I was trying to get the semi-driver's attention. I was trying to get a little honk going.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't see me.
Yeah, apparently.
So I got in front of him. I was like, dude, honk your horn.
Jeez.
And he saw me.
Definitely did. So everybody that knows, my Twitter handle's Real Shawfather. It used to be Shaw Dad. I hated that nickname because it was weird as hell. Somebody then called me the Shawfather. I like that better because I like the Godfather.
The Shawfather's fun. That's
for
a
sure.
fun one.
But they were calling me Shaw Dad, Shaw Daddy. Hated that nickname. Hated it.
Why? I kind of like it. Was it the people that was giving it to?
Oh, that played a role in it.
Okay.
Mostly it was men saying it, boys. So it was a little weird. Women never called me that. Thank goodness for that too.
I wouldn't see that as a bad thing if they were.
I hated that name.
I had another one, Pedro.
Why?
It's because when Napoleon Dynamite, that movie came out, Pedro, vote for Pedro, I would do a Pedro voice.
Oh, it's not because you had the Vote for Pedro shirt?
No, never had that. I would just do impressions of Pedro. Don't ask me to do it. I'm not good with impressions. I have one. And it's Macho Man Randy Savage, and it's not that hard. It's not even that good. I also don't have a voice for prank calls. Everybody knows it's me. You never pull it off.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap her up. I can officially make the announcement. Leading off tomorrow's show, joining us will be former K-State defensive back Reggie Stubblefield. Go Cats.